Minister. I think you're developing quite a reputation as a bit of a hawk. There is a huge contradiction between what you've just said there now, what you said the last time, and what you've said on the airwaves and in public statements. Now, when I asked about the Ely Etna in last Minister's questions in terms of whether it was appropriate that they should take part in a Frontex Operation Triton mission, you said that they weren't. But they themselves say that we are. It's on their website, it's in their material, and you yourself have said other things on the airwaves. So I'd like you to maybe clarify some of the contradictions.
Well, first of all, I'd like you to maybe outline what the contradictions are, because I've been absolutely consistent on this issue from the start, and I remain so today. The Ely Etna is not engaged in Operation Triton or in any form of border security operations as part of its deployment in the Mediterranean. Section 3 of the Defence Amendment Act 2006 permits, with the approval of government, the dispatch of the naval service vessel and personnel for the purposes of undertaking humanitarian tasks in response to an actual or potential disaster or emergency. It does not permit the carrying out of border control type tasks such as those undertaken by Operation Triton. A reference on the Frontex website referring to Ireland's contribution to the Operation Triton mission is incorrect and is being removed. The deployment of Ely Etna following government approval supports those measures already taken by Italy and other EU states in the areas of search and rescue of migrants and the provision of humanitarian assistance as provided under international law. There is no international humanitarian search and rescue operation established by any decision of any international body or national authorities in the Mediterranean. Rather, it is a unilateral deployment by Ireland of the naval service vessel to the Mediterranean area, where it is undertaking humanitarian search and rescue tasks in accordance with the applicable provisions of international conventions governing search and rescue situations in accordance with the Italian authorities. The humanitarian crisis in the Mediterranean is of great concern to Ireland and to our EU partners. Ely Etna and her crew are providing an invaluable asset in assisting with the Mediterranean migrant crisis. The success of the operation carried out to date, involving the rescue of approximately 2,200 migrants, demonstrates clearly the value of Ireland's participation in this important humanitarian mission. At EU level, the Council decision to launch the European Union military operation, UN NAVFOR Med, which we've just been referring to, was adopted at the formal meeting of the Foreign Affairs Council in Brussels on the 22nd of June. The mission is one element of the EU's comprehensive approach to addressing the migration crisis in the South and Central Mediterranean. Irish Defence Force personnel are not currently taking part in this mission. Consideration of participation by the Defence Forces in EU NAVFOR Med will only occur if there is a UN Security Council resolution and the applicable national statutory requirements are met. I understand that discussions on a draft Security Council resolution are ongoing. In the interim, Ireland will continue to remain focused on its humanitarian search and rescue mission, which is exactly what I said to the previous questioner, and is also exactly what I said the last time we were here for questions, Deputy. So I would appreciate, if you're going to say that I am inconsistent, you might point out what I'm inconsistent on.
Absolutely, well, delighted to. And I think it's incredibly convenient that when we point out that Frontex claimed Ireland as a participant of Operation Triton, suddenly now that was a mistake on their part. And when they said we were one of the 26 European countries taking part, was that the only mistake? Was there other countries that they made a mistake on as well? Minister, after we had the session here the last time, you were on...
Sorry, please.
You were on the George Hook radio programme, and you said, and this is a direct quote, "What we've also agreed, along with other European countries, including the UK, is a new military mission which will be partly around search and rescue and monitoring, but also phase 2 of that will be to try and disrupt, disassemble and tackle very well-funded people smuggling, human trafficking gangs that are operating out of Libya at the moment. What we're planning to do now is that the EU will work with state actors in places like Libya. We have agreed a new military mission." That's not what you've said in here, but it is what you said on the public airwaves. So it doesn't tally, or which is the real Simon Coveney?
Deputy, you're selectively quoting here now. And let me explain what that is. When I said we, I was talking about the European Union, and you know that. And I have confirmed in the answer I've just given that the European Union has agreed to an EU NAVFOR mission, which is a military mission. It's also information gathering mission. It is a mission that wants to disrupt human trafficking in North Africa. And it's all of the things that I said on that show. But Ireland's participation in that is an entirely different matter. We cannot and will not participate in what has been agreed by we as the European Union collectively unless we have a UN mandate to do that, and unless we have passed the required decision-making structures here in the Dáil and in Cabinet before we do that. So what I'm saying is we as the European Union have agreed to a new mission to try and disrupt people trafficking from North Africa. But in the meantime, Ireland continues to operate as an individual country on its own in cooperation with Italy on a humanitarian search and rescue mission. So, when you're quoting we there, that is we as a decision that was taken by EU foreign ministers and EU defence ministers collectively, which has now been subsequently approved, but which does not have a UN mandate at the moment. And so we, as in Ireland, will not be part of that without a UN mandate. And even if there is a UN mandate, we'll have to debate it and consider it.
Thank you.
In actual fact, Minister, you play back the interview, it's quite clear that you were talking about Ireland. You say we, along with other European countries, including the UK. So you're not talking about the EU, you're talking about we in Ireland, along with our colleagues in Europe. It's a decision for Ireland. And you say, we have agreed a new military mission. Now, I know you've got to go through the motions and the optics inside the Dáil if that was to come off. But the point that's been made, and what Deputy McLaughlin was making, is that this is clearly the direction in which Fine Gael want to go. You did say, and of course you need the UN sanction before we can progress with it properly. So are you trying to tell us now that you're not going to be arguing for us to participate in this mission? Is that what you're saying? That it's going to be an entirely free matter for the House? Because it's quite clear that that's not the case.
Minister.
I mean, the triple lock is never an entirely free matter for the House. The triple lock requires a government decision as well as a Parliament decision. So, Deputy, with respect, I don't think you should be talking about our approach to the Mediterranean as if there's some kind of conspiracy around the corner. There isn't. Our approach to the Mediterranean at the moment is a purely humanitarian one. The debate that's happened at the European Union level has been one to try and find a way of doing more than rescuing people in the Mediterranean, who at the moment are being herded onto ships that aren't capable of getting across the Mediterranean. We have to do something in North Africa to work with others there to try and disrupt criminal gangs that are taking advantage and making a lot of money out of people who are very vulnerable. And that is the decision here. But Ireland will not participate in that mission without a UN mandate and UN approval. And I've made that very clear, whether it's on the public airwaves or here in this House. And it's no more complicated than that. This isn't some kind of conspiracy from any one political party that's looking to move away from neutrality or anything like that. And it's, to be honest with you, it's a bit disingenuous to be suggesting it.
Thank you. Question number 4, in the name of Deputy